My Life as I Remember It, Chapter 3, Part 2, Linden Park. Each year, a fish they call suckers would spawn in the creek. People stood on the bank with fishing poles with long strings of triple hooks. They would jerk and swish the hooks in the water and snag the suckers. Hundreds were caught this way, and people ate them. Car going up and Graham running out. I just keeping an eye on him. Dad would not let us eat any fish that came out of the creek, and one of his lectures to me was, "Don't play or wade in that creek." Thankfully, he was way ahead of his time on pollution, but I'm sure there were other dads keeping their family away from that creek, too. Most of the outlying roads were unpaved. This created another fascination for me, construction equipment. I listened for road graders the way I listened for airplanes, and the highlight of the day was when a dozer, we call them bulldozers, came into the neighborhood. When the workers parked them near our house for the night, I would climb up in the seat and pretend I was operating the equipment. Moving to La Follette was a cultural shock for us. Things looked cleaner. We had indoor plumbing and central heat. The furnace was in the house, like a regular stove, but the rooms were heated by vents. When we first started a fire in the furnace, the noise scared me, and it took me a while to get used to it. With an indoor toilet, you could see what you just did, and that is when I discovered I had intestinal worms, which was a common thing back then. When I used the bathroom, I looked down and saw worms. I was horrified. This was a common ailment, and no one seemed to be alarmed. I guess nowadays they would be. Eventually, this problem went away, and if we were in Anthrace and not using an indoor toilet, I would never have known about this parasite. I was a bedwetter, and this may have been attributed to family matters, but when I had my tonsils removed, the bedwetting ceased. I was relieved when I did not need to worry about this problem again. We had a large LaSalle automobile that refused to move in the snow. In fact, most of those old cars were terrible in the snow. That was before the tires that we have today, tubeless. During winter snows, the cars would try to climb up the hill out of Linden Park. Dad was usually successful in getting the car out of the neighborhood after several tries. On Saturday morning, I would listen to Let's Pretend, a radio program brought to you by Cream of Wheat cereal. This radio show was full of adventure stories and some of the classics like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. There was also a program where someone would read the Sunday comic strip from the Knoxville News-Sentinel. On Saturday, we would go to the Cherokee Theater and stay all day watching a double-feature Western. We would watch those films repeatedly. Some of the worst headaches I ever had was coming out of the Cherokee Theater on a bright, sunny day after being in the theater for hours. During those days, black people had a special section up in the balcony. They even had a separate place to enter the theater to prevent them from meeting us white people. When I think about this now, it's hard to believe we were involved with something like that. Barack Obama is currently serving as our first black president, although he is only half black because his mother is white. My brother Jim played music with a bunch of people, and they cut a record at some studio. The quality was terrible, but I remember how fascinated I was with that record. One of the neighbors had a similar recording of a family member who was killed in the war, and I wanted to listen to it each time I was in their house.